What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing very well. It's very weird me doing the intro when Flex is here. I'm on this side and Flex is on the other side. It almost feels wrong. It
Why? It's
feels
your
wrong.
show. Listen, this is not called Flex TV. Yeah, if I
No,
wanted a platform to be just about me talking all the time, I would have made something called Flex TV. It's United View. It's
yeah.
your show.
The days,
Know what
the
I mean?
days of the Flex are gone. The days of the
Yeah,
Flex are over.
exactly. Although they might come back in
There's-
the future, though.
You never know. Who knows what's going to happen in the future? But what we're here to talk about today is the press conference and the match preview, and that's what we're going to start off with. Ralph Rangnick finished his press conference about 45 minutes ago. It's quite an interesting one today, actually. I've noticed, Flex, in the last couple of press conferences, there have been some hard questions that have been asked. Some questions which myself, covering these all season, I'm like, man. Sometimes with journalists, they play it very careful and they can be quite cautious and they can be quite aware of their surroundings. But there are a couple today and a couple in last week's one where I was a bit like, you know what? That's a really interesting question to ask. What did you make of it overall?
Yeah, they're trying to get him in it. Like they're trying to.
Yeah,
Obviously, there's loads of like leaks about Gary Neville's had it say every day there's a different thing. Even a couple of hours before the press conference, Ronaldo's not getting on with Ranić. He doesn't want him as the. There's always something every day. So they're stopping short of saying, "Oh, somebody said that basically the coaching method is a little bit like Ted Lasso. Do you have a response to that?" They're not saying it like
well,
that,
they
but
said that last time, didn't they? I was
yeah.
surprised. I was really surprised they brought that up last time because just historically, that's just not something they've brought up in press
It's
conferences
not.
at
It's not.
all.
And now they're starting to kind of go, right, well, we're just going to say it as it is and try and get something from it. I mean, in terms of, they saying, like, well, you brought in a psychologist because basically you said the mentality was shit. Has it worked? They're
Yeah,
trying to get him. And he kind of said, well, I don't know what you're talking about in terms of me saying that, but what I am saying is the players are committed and he's protected himself. What's his name? Raphael Hoggenstein is doing his job so
that's
that
true.
Ralph
That
doesn't
is
get in
very
trouble.
true. Maybe it was very shrewd by him. Maybe it was him thinking, "Look, I'm going to get asked some really hard questions soon. I need to be
Exactly. He
really
knows,
careful."
mate. He knows.
James in the chat, by the way, says also shout out 96k. Yes, that was literally just before we came live, wasn't it, Flex?
Boom, 96k, man. Love that. Big up to everyone. Keep hitting subscribe, keep liking the videos. We are nearly there. This is it, man. Last 4k to
No,
100. Let's go. Let's go.
scary.
I know.
Rob Scanlon was the first question asked about team news for tomorrow's game because there's a game tomorrow. Coming so thick and
We always
fast.
forget it's actually a game.
I know. Asked about team news when it comes to tomorrow. Any injuries, any returns? Rangnick said, quote, Fred will be available again and also will be part of the group for tomorrow. Edison is still out, as you saw in the title. Edison Cavani is still out. The same with Nemanja Matic. Alex is back again with the squad. He was already part of the group for the Southampton game and he will also be available. Flex, do we need to have a bit of a bigger conversation about Edison Cavani at this point? We know he's leaving at the end of the season. Romano tweeted again today saying that it's just we knew he was going to leave anyway, but it's just there is no chance of him staying now. He's already looking at La Liga and future opportunities. But it was interesting that Romano said today that he's going to be professional until the end, and he did have an opportunity to leave in January, but he decided to put that off after having a direct conversation with Rangnick. So maybe a little bit of Camp Cavani going over to them, going like, yes, we are leaving, but we're still committed. I mean, what do you make of them at the moment? Because we knew his injury record coming into this, but it's difficult, isn't it?
It is difficult because I just think he's at the latter stages of his career, and overdoing it's just not in his best interest. Like, I'm not saying I agree with that. We're paying him a hell of a lot of money from a free transfer, extended him by a year for the service. But I'm just doing the Cavani stance. Like, I think he sees it as I'm near the end of my career. I'm going to go back to South America. I was this close to going before, but you lot begged me.
Yeah.
And
They got Ronaldo.
then you got Ronaldo. Yeah, then you got Ronaldo. And then I thought, all right, go on, and I'll give you an extra year. And I don't doubt his commitment when he's on the pitch, but he's just not reliable enough. And I do think there's a little bit of don't really fancy it, today. Probably come back next week if that's all right. A little bit. I think if he feels, and this is just my opinion, I think like if he feels a little niggle, I don't think he's gonna put himself through the pain barrier and get injections to play. Like, I just don't see that. I think he's achieved a hell of a lot in his career. He's in the twilights of it. He's going to get his move back to South America towards the end. And I think this is where us as fans got to be smart, though. I'm not even having a go at him. Like that's where he's at in his career. But us as fans, I think, got be a little bit more astute with it, because we kind of, and I've been there, he's a bit of a cult hero, isn't it? Because you see him run around, you see him try, and he's actually played quite well, but we can't rely on him. And then he's very rarely available. So I don't know, man. I've had my periods where I'm like, start Cavani, we need this, we need that.
Me too.
Then, to be honest, since he confirmed he was staying, he ain't been that great. For being honest. He ain't been that great.
It's a given when he plays one game that he's not going to play the next one. Either it's because, we have to manage him, or he'll be injured. And I think either way you look at it, either way it's bad, really, isn't it? Because if it's him being like, oh, actually, I don't know if I really want to push it, that's bad. But if he legitimately just can't play because he's constantly injured, that's bad as well.
Which the latter is something that's synonymous with his career, like injury.
Exactly.
Like,
and
not
even when he was, it's his birthday today, by the way, as well. 35 years old today.
Maybe he's off
it's
chilling,
the knowledge that I'm bringing.
Knowledge
that I'm bringing is that it's his birthday today, and he's had an injury record since he was like late 20s. Like, this isn't even like a modern phenomenon.
Always had it,
and we always knew that was going to be a problem. And maybe it's just a case of his injury record always being bad, plus his age, perfect storm. It's become a bit of a problem. And the issue is that we're really light up front. So when you've got a Ronaldo that isn't necessarily playing well, you can't even turn to the bench and say, okay, we'll bring on Cavani. Well, he's not there because he's
can't rely on him. Exactly. Which goes back to, I know we'll get there in that, and we spoke a lot about it yesterday, and people say, what's the solution then? And that's true. Like, in terms of Ronaldo playing badly, you have to keep playing him. Cavani's not available. So dropping Ronaldo right now is not an option. I know some Cam and Marcel were talking about give Rashford a try there. I wouldn't. Rashford's lucky to be starting even anywhere right now. And
Ralph kind of name dropped him a little bit later on in the press conference, which is curious.
He did.
Which is very interesting. I want to get to the next question was from Michael Gray. Spoke about the psychological side of things. There was quite a bit on psychology, which as a psychology graduate, I always very enjoy. He said, psychology side of things, Rangnick has previously spoke about mental problems at the clubs, demands on the players. Are you asking too much of the players, or do the players need to up their levels? Which, again, is a probing question you would have not got earlier on in the season.
Trying to get him, mate. Yeah, they're trying to get him.
And Rangnick said, quote, the situation is pretty clear. In 11 of 13 games since I took over, we have scored first, but we have not won them all. The last 3 games were very sad that we didn't win them. The players are getting the ideas across the pitch. We need to do it for an entire game. This is the next step we have to take. The first halves in the last couple of weeks have been really good. We didn't concede a single goal. The next step is to stay focused physically, mentally, and tactically. We have given goals away too easily. So, Flex, there's a lot of discussion around mentality of the players. There's a lot of discussion about the psychology or psychological aspect of some of the players. Like I said, that's a question that I felt was, to be fair, I'm not saying like it's a bad question. It's a really good question. And it's kind of the questions you want to see at press conferences. I mean, it feels like it's obvious that there is somewhat of a psychological block. 3 games in a row, you can see second half have to go 1-0 up. Like, it speaks for itself, doesn't it?
It does. It does. We've definitely got a mental block. Like, you look at getting to the same point every time and not getting over the line, not getting it done. It shows you that mentally they're not there. As soon as we concede from those winning positions, it literally, like, the energy just sucked all out of them. Any little bit of confidence they had, gone, like literally gone. It's almost like score and it just evaporates. And you can see that. And he spoke about it when he brought the psychologist in. He said it's something that happens on the continent. It makes perfect sense to have this. I remember when he was speaking quite glowingly about bringing a psychologist in. So obviously he believes in it. He believes in it. Otherwise he wouldn't have made that. But actually we could argue that, bloody hell, what's the psychologist doing? It's got worse. Do you know what I mean? They're getting into winning positions and I'm really not doing it. But look, there are some positives. Like, he keeps saying like the players are absolutely, taking it on board and we're playing better in moments. And it's just now it's taking the next step to go, okay, well now you're winning. Let's keep winning. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know, man. There's definitely a mental block amongst all the melee of like this league and that league. If we just go by the facts of what we can see on the pitch and the evidence factually, we keep losing leads, bro. We keep losing leads. And when you keep losing leads like that, you have to question mentality, because the best teams get ped back and find a way. And it's interesting because Ralph, I don't know if you picked up on it. He said, and if you don't get the goals that you deserve, then stay tactically disciplined. Yep. He said,
second time in a row he said that as well.
Exactly. I.e., stop doing what the hell you don't want to do and just stick to what we've set out to do. Stop panicking. And that's what's happening.
Exactly. David Lee says only 70 likes, a disgrace.
What's going on? Come on. We've nearly got over 400 watching. Come on, guys. Come on.
Definitely not just Josh Media as well. Definitely not him. Different guys, as always 100%. Say. But yeah, I think I always look at it as well. Like, as fans, if you're sitting there in the stadium, or you're sitting there watching at home, wherever you're watching the game, and you see United go 1-0 up, and your first thought is, we're going to concede. Or even if we play well in the first half, we're going to concede. Then the players, there's no way the players aren't thinking the same thing. They'll know it as well. It's like every time we get a corner, every single time we get a corner now, you can tell because you think it yourself. We ain't going to score from this corner. Are we going to score from this corner? No, we're not. And
every time we get one, I'll say just give them the goal kick. I'd say just decline the corner. There should be an option where you can decline the corner. Say, we're all right. We've got better chance of like playing off the second ball from their goal kick, and maybe we'll get an attack from that.
Yeah,
because every time we take a corner, it's either we end up running back towards our own goal and facing a counter attack.
Yeah,
or it literally just goes to their keeper or an easy header out or whatever. It's honestly, there's no point in us even taking corners right now. So bad.
Do you remember when Rory Delap was doing his old throw-in thing? And there was a game, I think it was against like Hull or someone like that, where it was going to go out for a throw-in and the player kicked out for a corner because they're actually not that good on corners. Yeah. We'd rather have that. I'd rather have the throw-in at this point. If it's going out, I'd be like, someone quick.
It's that bad, bro. It's that bad. How many times we don't beat the first man?
Oh, yeah. If it was going out for a throw-in, I think they'd rather kick out for a corner. They'd be like, that's it, easy. Counter-attack opportunity. You know what I mean?
100%. So, it's poor.
It is really poor. And again, going back to the psychological aspect of it, if the fans are thinking it, the players are thinking about it. They might not be like, oh, well, we're not really talking about it that much or all that kind of stuff. They have to. When it happens 3 times in a row, it's proven that it's already a problem. This whole dropping off, this whole we're going to concede. And let's face it as well, in some of those games, even in the second half, like you wouldn't say that some of these, the oppositions have had tons of chances. It always feels like it's just 1 or 2 key chances, boom. And
one or two key chances. Yeah, 1 or 2. What happens is 1 or 2 key chances and we concede in that moment. And then after that, the opposition will like be in possession a little bit more on the front foot. David Hay is not working extremely hard save after save, but we're just not actually on the ball and dominating the game. Then we look back at the second half and we're like, where did it go? Like that second half against Burnley, yeah. Apart from Rashford's little dazzling run where he crossed it, and then I think Varane tried a little flick and hit off a defender and went out for a goal kick.
Yeah.
Other than that, I swear to you, I can't remember one opportunity, like actual where Pope had to do something. Southampton was very, very similar. Second half, Ronaldo had the left-footed shot, to be fair. Maguire had the header. Actually, no, we did have a couple more chances, to be fair, to win, in fairness. Maguire, unfortunately, both of them fell to Maguire, the main two. And Ronaldo could have, and Maguire and Ronaldo could have got his head up to square to Rashford, but was never going to do that from that position. But usually the second half peters out. Just peters out.
100%. Next question was from Simon Stone. And again, a really probing question. Said, Ralph, you've got 2 jobs at the moment. One is managing the team, and the second is offering advice for when you finish at the end of the season. Are you forming in your mind an idea of what Manchester United should be and what needs to be done for the club to be what it wants to be? This season, finishing 4th is the best case scenario, which isn't really what Manchester United want. Now, this led to an answer. That I feel, as soon as he said it, I thought this is going to be taken out of context.
Yeah, 100%.
Immediately. And you need to understand the question that was asked and how it was phrased at the end of it. So bear in mind, he says, finishing 4th is the best case scenario, and that isn't what Manchester United want. And Ralph Rangnick said, quote, right now, this is exactly what Manchester United needs and wants, to finish 4th in the league. I think this is the highest possible achievement we can get domestically. He then said, the Champions League, hopefully we can proceed into the next round of the Champions League. It's not an easy one. In the league, it's number 4. That's our ambition, what we have to achieve and what we're aiming at. Next season, after being here now for 10 or 11 weeks, of course, I know what it takes for next season, but now is not the time to discuss this with anyone. My full focus is on tomorrow, then Sunday, Wednesday, and the next couple of weeks. So, Flex, I feel like when I saw that, I went, that's going to be taken out of context because people will be saying Manchester United should never be settling for fourth. That shouldn't be what Manchester United are looking for. But the point he's trying to make is that this season, that is all we can achieve. We've already hamstrung ourselves so much. We're not challenging for the league. Even he had to kind of sort of backtrack on this slightly by sort of saying, we ain't winning the Champions League. And then he sort of had to go, well, Champions League, it's difficult. But he's right, isn't he? Like, that's all we can do this season. It's finished fourth, and we have to.
100%. I think if anybody, and I'm not saying I've seen anybody do that, but this is me just, as you're saying, like if it's taken out of context, if anybody takes what he said in that moment, faced with that question, with our current form / league position factually, and goes in on what's the standards have dropped. Look at us.
Yeah,
you're looking for the headline. You're looking to moan for the sake of moaning. Like we're all being realistic as fans as to not what we want, but where we're at. And where we're at right now is the best we can get is fourth. Our form is horrendous. We keep drawing games. We're not scoring enough goals, and we're conceding stupid ones. And in and around the top four is a mess. It is very, very close, and everybody's in with a chance, and everybody's just as inconsistent as each other. So actually, Ralph is spot on for saying that. And actually, big up to him. I don't think it was, it'd be silly to say anything other than that because it wouldn't be the truth. So to be fair, I'm not bigging him up for something he should do already, but that is exactly where we're at. We don't want to be aspiring for the best place fourth. None of us started with the aspirations of that before the season. But if we get fourth now, it's not even so. And this is the annoying thing about it, and it has been in every season we've got it really in the last couple. Even when we do get the fourth, like remember that season we were like 14 points behind Leicester and ended up finishing third that time, and like we beat them on the last day of the season. And then last season where we was umming and ahhing, and then we managed to put a run together and finish second. Even when we did do that, couldn't really celebrate it. It's not like bang, get in. This is what it's about. Told you we'd get fourth. Come on. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean, even that time when we beat Leicester last day of the season, like there was somewhat of a celebration behind it because we were so far off it.
So far off, but Man United should never be in that position.
Yeah, exactly. You had to catch yourself and be like, man, 100%. I appreciate the turnaround. And maybe the celebration was optimism for the season afterwards, being like, well, if we're playing well towards it, maybe next season. And
that's
then again,
exactly what it always is. It's exactly what it always is.
Exactly.
Oh, do you know what? We got third. We can build to get the right signings in. Then that signing, we got Cavani in the last minute, signed Ahmad. Didn't get Jaden Sancho. It was like one of the worst, no disrespect, but it was one of the worst transfer windows ever. And then this window, obviously, we know what happened. So, and then expectancy went up, expectations went up. So, yeah, he has to say that, Ralph Rangnick, and he should say that in that moment. Anything other than that is just silly. If he says, well, it's not mathematically over, so we should still be pushing to win the league, everyone say, what are you on about? What are you on about? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. He'd get rinsed even more, wouldn't he? Hazard says 100%. Tomorrow has another 1-1 draw all over it. Kelsey says that's just being the new Manchester United, inconsistent as ever. So J. Dot says we would celebrate fourth. That's how bad it is. We don't deserve fourth as well.
It's that bad.
I think it's a curious point as well, because he was asked and he sort of just played it off going, we'll talk about that at the end of the season. But do you think he's formed his opinions on what advice he's going to offer or what suggestions he's going to make for next season? Like he can't not, right?
Of course he has. It's going to sound mad, but even Ollie was doing that for the next season. Like, do you know what I mean? Even though he was doing shit and it was going to end how it ended, he still would have been thinking, I do need this, I do need that. Every manager does. When they say they're not doing that, they just lie. They're lying because, and actually, it's not the right place to do it in the media. No manager, unless it's like a really obvious thing where like, they have no striker or they have no left back or there's loads of injuries where it's like, obviously we need to dip into the market when they explain things. Apart from that, in terms of a long-term strategy, no manager says, well, when we get to the summer, even though it's 3 months away, 4 months away, I'm going to need a young striker. I'm going to need a left back. I'm going to need a centre back. I'm going to need this. We've had some talks with a couple of agents already. We've sounded out a couple, so we've got someone
exactly.
Who does that? You keep your shit private. Although Ralph did touch on it ironically, actually, last presser, that it's obvious we need but that, again, it's obvious we've got a 36-year-old and a 37-year-old or 34 and whatever. What's Cavani just turned? 35.
35, yeah.
35 and a 37-year-old. And we've let Martial go. Obviously, we need a young striker. So that's what I mean. Unless it's blatantly obvious where everybody just knows, and one's going to leave in Cavani as a definite, and maybe even Ronaldo, it's obvious we need one. So that's different. But in his mind, he will 100%. Ralph is a football man through and through. Whether you think he's bluffing or impersonating that and just talking a good game and not really being it, I do see personally a meticulous manager who's trying to get his views across, and I can see it in 30-minute spells, in half an hour, in 35-minute spells, in half spells. I can see it, what he's trying to do, but the longevity isn't there. But he's such a football man, he will know what we need. He will know, or have an idea of what he would like us to have. Definitely.
I agree. I think also, as Paul Scholes mentioned it after the game the other day, in the last, I think 2 out of the last 10 years, he's been a coach. The majority of the time, he's been a sporting director. So there's no way when he's on the training pitch, when he's looking at everything, he still doesn't look at it from the perspective of a sporting director.
It's his biggest strength.
That's what he's
managing's not
doing.
actually his biggest strength is. Yeah,
exactly. So that's what he's been doing. So that even though, like I said, I think tactically, I don't know, people are already saying, he's not that good, or he's old fashioned, etc., etc. I think his tactics, like he said, the improvements are there to be seen when it comes to on the pitch. But I think just in a general sense, there's no way he's not looking at things from a sporting director's perspective. There just isn't. And I think, to be honest, like he said, he's been there 10, 11 weeks. He probably made up his mind or formed some opinions much quicker than that. And like you said, it's not the right space to come out in the media and just say things in press conferences. But he knows which things he wants to change. He knows which recommendations he's going to be make. I think maybe he's a bit like, well, I'm not going to say anything to actually know what my consultancy role actually looks like. Why would I be offering? I mean, I'm getting paid for it, but why am I going to be offering out free advice when I know that if it's not going to be listened to or not? Let's nail those things down. And then maybe I sort of shed a bit of my knowledge when it comes to that one. Next question was from Andy Mitten and was going back to this psychological aspect at United. He said, quote, "You mentioned last week about the psychological mental issue when it comes to second halves. You brought in a sports psychologist. Is this an area he could influence?" Because like you said earlier on, what's going on when it comes to He said, quote, "What I said, it's pretty obvious. If you're 1-0 up and in 3 consecutive games concede, this also affects the minds of players. It's obvious. They are still human beings. It's normal. There are 2 things. One, it has to be more effective to kill the games off. Even if this does not happen, we need to stick to the game plan and stay tactically solid. This is what I mean about taking the next step." And he also mentioned that he and Sasha Lenz regularly speak to the players one-on-one about these kind of issues. So like you said there, Flex, I feel like, again, it was going back to this whole, well, if there's a psychological problem there and you brought in a sports psychologist, is he not working, or is it not working out properly? Are these people not, I guess, doing their jobs properly? And I think the response is pretty fair by Rangnick of just saying, well, obviously there's a mentality problem. I just said that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
He's saying, obviously something's wrong. You're seeing what I'm seeing. Yeah, I mean, I'm spending time with these players. This is Ralph. I'm spending time with these players on the training ground, day in, day out. And I'm just as mystified as you. Like, for him to keep referring back to that. So it's an important line, though, I think, that stay tactically disciplined thing, because he's basically, how I read it anyway, everyone reads things in different ways, but how I read it is that he's frustrated that we're going off on a tangent and not sticking to the plan, even if we're pegged back. And then we start doing things where it's unrecognizable to him, like what Paul Scholes was saying. That is an issue with Bruno Fernandes. How many times have I said that? How many times have I said he needs reining in to kind of play in a way that helps us keep balance and control over the games, rather than trying the Hollywood or the finishing move all the time? And I know people's direct argument straight back to that a lot of the times is, you don't want to take that away from his game, and it's because he tries stuff, and we need someone who's going to try things. And absolutely, you do at the right times. Though there's so many times where, again, once you've been pegged back, it's easy to get into a negative mindset of feeling sorry for yourself and shit. You go now, come on. And all that does is breed more uncertainty through the team, more frustration, because the ball's been hit too hard and you give them an easy goal kick, or the ball's been hit too hard and it's an easy interception and it puts on the back foot. If you look at teams who are trying to build something, when the shit goes wrong, they're playing exactly the same way. Because they
Exactly.
believe that their way is the right way. They believe in what the manager's doing. You look at Klopp, you look at Pep, you look at Tuchel. Fuck that. You look at Graham Potter. You look at do you know what I mean? You look at Ralph Hasenhüttl. Look at managers like this. So they've got a very identifiable way of playing, which no matter how the scoreline goes, unless it's the last 5 minutes and you're 2 down and you throw an extra man up front, or you're 1 down and you throw in a defender, that's different. But in terms of there's still 20. We conceded right at the beginning of the first half. There's still about 50 minutes left. So yeah, sorry, it's still about 40. It's still about 40 minutes left.
Yeah.
You know, again, there's still about 40 minutes left, but stick to the principles, stick to the way of playing. Think what you did so well in the first half. Try and get back to that, because that's what you set out to do, and we don't do that.
Exactly. And that was what was so frustrating, as someone that did legitimately watch the last press conference, and he spent, no joke flex, at least 5 minutes going, part of the problem when we played Burnley is that we had all these chances, missed them, they equalised, and then our game plan, we just stopped. We just stopped doing what we were doing. We forgot what made us so dominant in the first half. We lost that tactical discipline. Goals happen. You do concede goals. It's frustrating. But at the same time, you should go, okay, why were we so dominant in the first half? Because we stuck to the game plan. We were playing how we were set up to play. Just because you concede a goal doesn't necessarily mean you just go, okay, we've got to try, we've got to throw everything out. We just got to go hell for leather. Still got 45 minutes. And I saw like Bruno, someone said on Twitter, like, Bruno Fernandes constantly plays like he's in the 89th minute. And it's kind of true.
That's a really good comment. That's a good comment.
And you don't, but he doesn't need to. When you see him go for those crossfield passes, like 9 times out of 10, they don't pay off, and you go, it's just unnecessary. I hear what you're saying as well, where it's like, well, you don't want to shackle him too much and take that out of his game, because that's what makes him special. And yeah, he'll try that, and 9 times out of 10 it won't work. But the one time it does, it leads to a goal. He's got to play percentage football, though, don't you? If it is 45 minutes left, there's a time and place for it. And it maybe isn't then, especially just after the opposition has equalised. Keep it simple. Keep your shape. Actually, you know what? Let's just settle down. Yeah, they scored just then. But why don't we just settle the crowd down, especially if you're away from home?
Exactly.
Yeah, settle down. Have some possession of the ball, and then make the opposition think, I tell you what, they might score here.
Exactly. Don't give them the reason to say, we're in their heads now. This is it. We've got them where we want them. Almost like you said, get them penned back in. Get them defending. Ask questions of them. Get them working hard to get the ball back off you. But like Ralph Hasenhüttl said in his post match, that he completely dissected us, what we are right now. Embarrassing.
Buried us. Lameda says United said they didn't buy a defensive midfielder because they didn't want to buy a player the impending manager will need. When have they bought a player the manager needs? So I mean, I don't know if they necessarily said that. That was the reports that came out, wasn't it? That they didn't want to buy a player that maybe the new manager coming in wouldn't need. I don't know. I to be honest with you, Lamena, I don't think United have really any intention of ever doing business in January. I think they're always looking to the summer. This whole season is looking to the summer at this point. 100%. You know what I mean? Sam with the contribution says, love you guys, keep it up. Look at that. On Valentine's Day as well.
Happy Valentine's Day, peeps.
Yeah, exactly. Bit of love. Nathan says Bruno plays football like there's a 24-second shot clock. It's becoming annoying at this point.
Yes, Nathan, 24 shot clock violation and turn over the ball to the other team. That's exactly in times where it's like that's a really good point, because other times, like I said, it's beautiful to see when he, because actually the goal that we do score comes from a fantastic ball by Bruno inside the fullback.
Pass, yeah.
He's capable. This is the thing that makes me frustrated. I know you got that in your locker. Like if the right pass is on, if the right run is on, if it's on, it's on, because you can execute it. You've got fantastic range of passing. You've got great technique. You've got great weight of pass. But when it's not on, it doesn't matter how good you are at that attribute. If it ain't on, it ain't on. It's like you could have the best shot. You could have the best shot in the game. You could have Harry Kane's got a great strike on him. Aguero in his prime, great strike on him. Top players got a great strike on you. But if the shot's not on, it's going to hit someone, or you ain't got space to shoot, or do you know what I mean? So you have to pick your moments, and that's very, very true. Like, it's almost like he's in a rush to see how quickly, because what he does, I don't know if he said, he gets it. As soon as he gets it, he takes one touch to set, and he gets his head up and he looks across the last line only, and he either sees Ronaldo doing the same run where Ronaldo's got his hand up trying to make that dart, or like you said, one of the wingers in Rashford or Sancho. Which, don't get me wrong, an attacking player, yes, you want him looking up to see if it's on. But what he then lacks is to go, nah, that's not the one. That's not the one.
Percentages,
Exactly.
isn't it?
That's not the one.
Exactly. Because watching it where it's live or on the television or whatever, as soon as he's like shapes up to maybe go for like a cross-field pass, sometimes you just go, it's not on. It's not on. And then they're like, you'll overhit or underhit it, and you go, no, that's it. It's not on.
Like Sean says there, like with Rashford on the left, great shot, but tries it when it's not on. Exactly. Rashford's got quite a clean technique of striking the ball. You know, his technique is actually pretty good. His touch and the way he can bring the ball down at speed and stuff like that. All of that stuff's pretty good. But the decision of when to use the attribute is what's off. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Or trying to take a player on when he's like squaring up to like a fullback and the winger, and you go,
oh, how many times does that happen? Yeah, exactly. And he just blind alley, head down, straight into him.
Exactly. Next question was from Gary Cottrell, and again, good question.
Gary Cottrell is that guy though. He loves it, doesn't he? Like wherever he's doing the Spurs one, he's a good friend of Jose's. He's always out and about. He's a funny guy, Gary Cottrell.
Yeah, he used to the one who was outside his house and he gets like the cup of teas and all that kind of stuff. Or he was getting the Jose. He got Jose when he was unpacking his car. He was taking a picture of his son out of his car. He was like, Jose, unfortunately, hasn't lost your job and that.
I was surprised. I was surprised to see it. Like he's now doing United stuff. He hasn't done United stuff. Like
and
he's always been the Spurs guy.
Jose acted really well to it, didn't he? He was just like, he did. To do, I suppose, you know what I mean. But it was. Oh man, he's. I like his work. To be fair, he said fourth is the best that Manchester United can hope for. Another season where the team really hasn't challenged for a title. Now you're the fifth manager not to challenge for a title. Managers have got the blame in the past, and now you're starting to get some of the blame too. Is it time to stop blaming managers and start blaming some of the players? Now, in fairness. It's a great question. Yeah. And it's a question that, again, previously,
that's what fans want to know.
Season, exactly. That is a question that I have so many times on these shows have gone, who cares about that question? It's a stupid question. Why would you ask that? That is, one, I think it's a fair question to ask. And two, that is a question that the fans have asked themselves, right? Recently, Gary Neville's coming out saying certain things at the moment. So Ralph Rangnick said, quote, I don't know. If you look at the current table, not only us, Arsenal, Tottenham, and the other clubs, when you look at that, the gap between them, there is some reason. It's something to discuss at the end of the season. The players are ambitious and want to get better. They want to win. My job is to help them and show them the pathway. So he kind of just sort of said, I don't know about that. You know, the players, they are ambitious. They do want to win. They do want to get better. He didn't say no, though, Flex.
No, he didn't say no. He didn't say no. He didn't say no, man. He chose the conservative answer, which is, I ain't going to blame it all on the players, but I'm not going to completely let them off, is basically what he's saying. It is something to speak about at the end of the season.
Yeah, exactly.
It is. And again, in the press conference, when he's trying to get the players to buy in, he's trying to get us out of this little rut that we're in. Can't be in a press conference saying, well, absolutely, players need to take more responsibility. And you can't dig out the play. Although us as fans, look, I'm not saying that I'm against it, but us as fans want it because, again, our emotions are running high. We're seeing a shit show every week at the moment. So we would actually find that really refreshing. If he said, honestly, mate, I've seen a lot of football across the continent, and it has shocked me at the level of mentality of some players. Yeah, imagine he said that.
Yeah,
we would say, well, everyone would be at the TV saying, "Who? Say which ones? Say which ones?"
Yeah.
But if he says that, unfortunately, we could argue that does he even have all the players behind him at the moment? But you lose. You can't do that. You can't do that.
No, and you have to question like, what do you want? Because when Jose used to say things about players, we used to go, it's out of order. You can't say that kind of stuff.
You don't throw your players on the bus out in public. You do it properly,
exactly,
and have the face-to-face conversation. So he answered it in the correct way, I think, by not really saying either, which leaves enough open for people like us here and you guys at home to have that and to take that interpretation to say, like you said, Owen, well, he didn't say no, did he?
Exactly, and he's done this a couple of times recently when he spoke about United not winning titles for however many years. And he goes, well, there is a reason for that. And he just sort of leaves it there, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But he's not lying. Of course, there's a reason. Yeah. There's a reason for everything. So I feel like he answered that the best way that he could answer it. But again, Gary Cottrell, big up. It's a great question. Absolutely great question. And then finally, when it comes to the press conference, the final question was about Jaden Sancho from Mark Man Bryan said, we're starting to see the real Jaden Sancho on the pitch. You mentioned that you've had one-on-one chats with him. Was that about on the pitch or off of it, of both? And Ralph said the same things. He said quite a lot about Jaden Sancho, to be fair. He said, I've known Jaden since he was 17, spoke with his agent and tried to convince him to join us at Leipzig. In the end, he went to Dortmund. He's become one of the best wingers in Germany, if not Europe. The step up to a club like Manchester United was a big one for a 21-year-old. The style of football we want to play fits his assets perfectly. I give him my support. I tell him to have a go. The same happened with other players. This was maybe the interesting part as how he finished this. The same will hopefully happen with players like Marcus Rashford in the next couple of weeks.
There you go.
What do you make of him?
He's saying it,
what do you reckon of him mentioning that?
Yeah,
as soon as I heard that, I went, that's interesting.
Yeah. Look, listen, there is no reason to bring up Marcus Rashford in that question. The question is about Jaden Sancho. You only bring in Marcus Rashford if you want to use that to leverage a point towards another player, which he quite smartly did do, to say, basically, I want him to be playing at this level, which, again, is a fairly obvious thing to say. We know Marcus is not playing well. We're talking about a lot of highlights off the ball for him with his concentration. Is he tucking back in quick enough? Is he understanding the position? Is he putting enough in? You know, he's making enough runs going the other way. I get that. That's naturally what he does very well. But is he tactically astute enough, or have enough desire? Does he have enough desire to put it in when the ball's not at his feet and get back in? And the last couple of times we have to say that hasn't been the case. And then he's just been a bit wasteful as well. Although actually he did get us the assist. You know, he makes a good run inside the fullback. But that's the frustrating thing. Like, because when people were bashing Rashford a little bit on the weekend, the other day. Yeah, the weekend. I did kind of, everybody who did have their say on Rashi, I did remind them that the goal did come from him, you know?
Exactly.
And that's not, and again, this is where people go, yeah, but he's been crap for ages. We're not saying he hasn't been.
No.
I'm just pointing out in that game, if we got more of that from Rashford, which is making the direct run, take the touch, get your head up, make the right decision. That's what we want, because we know you're capable. And that's why we get frustrated, because we know you're better than what you're showing. It's now getting to the point where he's playing so badly that some people are questioning, actually, maybe he's not capable of being better than what he's showing. Maybe that is his level. I disagree slightly. I've never put Rashford into the upper echelon like some maybe have. I've always been a bit reserved about that. But I definitely can say, yeah, do you know what I mean? I was not trying to hear that. I mean, me and KG had loads of back and forths, not even on screen. We've had good conversations where he's like, to the point, you know what, KG's like, where he sent me, like, I think at one point, it was like a year and a half ago, he sent me like numbers from like Gnabry, Coman, Sane. Yeah. He was like, look, Flex, see, this is our guy. Look how many goals. Like everyone his age in the thing. I'm like, cool. I'm not disputing that, but my eye test tells me different. And you see the development of those players we're just talking about with them versus him now. You look now. So I just feel like he's definitely better than what he's showing. But back to what Ranić was saying, he's used that as an opportunity to publicly challenge him. You know, he could have that conversation in private. Jaden's doing big stuff. I like how he spoke about, you know, tried to get him to go to Leipzig, mate, but we couldn't do it. I love him, you know. And when we knew we was going to get Ralph, a lot of people were saying, maybe not necessarily because they knew that he tried to get him for Dortmund, but just his style and his understanding of football, they was like, he's going to be perfect for someone like Jaden Sancho.
Yeah, and a familiarity of seeing him every single week in Germany,
exactly,
that kind of stuff.
Exactly, you know? And I think we're starting to see that.
As David Lee says, I'm sure to smash a like on the like button. Got over 800 people watching Flex. So smash a like on the like button. Yeah, I think it is interesting that you mentioned Rashford there, because like you said, there really is no need to bring him into it unless you really want to send somewhat of a message, or maybe make some people aware that you are aware of maybe the criticisms that have been leveraged toward Rashford recently. I suppose maybe you could look at it as, well, Sancho's playing on the wing. The other person that's playing on the opposite side is Rashford. And he's basically saying, I want you to be playing like Jaden Sancho's playing. I think it's also worth pointing out, like you said as well, that, because I saw this a lot of the weekend too, that you can criticize Marcus Rashford for how he played in that game. Because again, I don't think he played particularly well, but he did get an assist. And people are pointing that out, going, he got an assist. I think the frustrating thing is despite him getting an assist, you could go, he maybe could have got more in that game
easily,
and that's the frustration, isn't it? It's like, granted, you got an assist, you squared it to Sancho for the goal, but maybe again it's Ralph saying, it was two linked up for the goal. It was a great pass by Bruno, but those two linked up and we scored a goal. that needs to happen more. I want to see more of that. I want to see more of those situations because we can get in those situations more. And I want to see that kind of relationship. I mean, I was quite interested during the game that in the first couple of minutes, certainly on the left-hand side, Jaden Sancho was getting so much like
straight
freedom
away.
down there.
Yeah,
And
Pogba was
then
finding him every time.
Yeah, and then they switched, and Rashford went to the left-hand side, and he didn't get as much freedom. And I found that, I mean, can you explain that? Because I just couldn't really.
No.
You were in the stadium, so I don't
Yeah,
know if
it's
you were
right
seeing
in front
something
of
maybe
me.
off. Yeah, if you were seeing something
That
off camera that
side,
maybe we couldn't see on it.
just nothing. Like that's on my side as well. Where I sit, Jaden always starts in front of me if he's on the left, and it was really good to see how brightly he started the game. And I'm thinking, yeah, man. I was saying that first 30 minutes, even that first 20, 25, I'm like, Pogba's on it. Pogba's on it, man. And Sancho's on it. He's making good runs. You know, Luke Shaw's trying to get involved. The left side just looks really, really strong. And it's not as simple as, and then Rashi came and it all went to shit. But I don't understand that constant interchange. And I almost feel like, and I could be wrong, this is my understanding, I almost feel like it's a bit of a way to get Rashford going. Almost saying,
Maybe.
you know what, Rashi, I tell you what, they're a little bit down Southampton's right-hand side with Walker-Peters and Armstrong. Jaden's getting a lot of joy out there. So maybe like get your confidence up. You go over there because that's where the ball's going right now. We'll try and get you going. But it takes away from the player who's actually
playing well,
smashing it. Yeah. So and then Jaden goes on the right, and the ball don't really go down there. We're quite left side heavy at the minute. A lot of our attacks are going in there. Pogba's playing on the left hand side of the midfield too. And a lot of the time, tactically, we could say we set up like a 4-2-3-1, but in possession, McTominay was left on his Todd a lot. Like it was McTominay sitting, and Pogba was going to go and join in with Bruno on the left hand side of the two attacking mids within 2-8s, which is good. That's what you want. 100%.
Well, we'll get into the match preview then, because I think that leads on quite
let's
nicely. Because you mentioned the midfield there. So you mentioned that Fred's back tomorrow. And is this, even though it's at home, we're still playing a side like Brighton that could potentially overrun us in midfield?
Not could.
Do you think he's... I'm doing my best hosting practices, Flex. So do you... He's played McTominay, Bruno, and Pogba as the last couple of games. Do you think he sticks with that, or is this the type of game where he goes, you know what, maybe we do need McTominay and Fred, and then either Bruno or Pogba, because one of them would have to drop out, right?
Yeah, I think this is the interesting bit of the decision's been made easy for Ralph since Pogba's come back because Fred was late back off internationals. Then he got COVID, so McTominay had to play. And Matic was injured as well. So Pogba was straight in there, which helped us. Now it's going to be interesting because I tell you what, you can see in the 3 games that Pogba's played. Yeah, Middlesbrough, Burnley, and the other day against Southampton. Good. Been good. He has been good. Giving us an extra dimension. He's strutting around the pitch. He's in a positive way. He's finding fantastic passes. He's initiating attacks. And he's keeping the ball so well. There's a couple of situations he got out of, even in the second half when we weren't great. Players around him, I'm like, fuck it, how have you got out of that? You know, it's like the old Pogba, you know, when the little twinkle toes, he's a big guy, but when he starts doing that, when he starts playing in that mode,
just glides, again, doesn't he? Just glides.
He just glides, effortless. There was one time when he got so angry and rightly so, threw his glove, I think, because they're just yanking him down, just kept fouling him every time, making things happen. Bruno can't do that. Bruno can't carry the ball for shit. Bruno's not a ball carrier. He's not a powerful runner. He's okay without the ball to get there, but in terms of taking it past people and driving, that's not his game. He doesn't try to make it. So Pogba has to play. Pogba has to play. So he's got to choose. Does he drop?
It's a tough one, isn't it? It's a really tough one
because he said in a couple of times before he has said, he has said, Pogba can play like a 10 or a 8 further forward, or he can play as a 6. And he says that Bruno can do that too. He says they can both do it. But the way that Pogba's been playing, almost like the second 8 sometimes, and then defensively comes back and joins McTominay, or you know what I mean, when we don't have the ball, Pogba has to play. So Ralph,
and he's been scoring goals.
And he's been scoring goals. He'll like McTominay with how he gets about the pitch and what he does, but I feel the most similar would be Pogba, would be McTominay and Fred in terms of what they do.
Yeah.
So I think one of them go. I think either McTominay goes or Fred sits. I don't think he takes out Bruno.
Do you think he'd drop McTominay though? Because he obviously likes him,
Does
doesn't
like
he?
him.
But then he
Does
likes
like him.
Fred. He likes Fred too. It's a bit of a conundrum, I think.
Do you think Fred? Think you might just keep it as it is, and Fred just wait to come
The
on?
thing is, if we'd have won a weekend, yes. But we didn't, and we haven't won the last couple of games. Ralph changes things when we're not winning. If we win games, 9 times out of 10, he'll keep it the same if he can. But that's not really been the case. But I'm with you that, despite not winning the games, you do look at that midfield and go, actually, like, it's all right. Like,
It's
they're
all right.
making chances. And
Yeah.
it is just a case of, like, if the worry would be that, okay, if I do say, okay, Pogba, you're still coming back from the injury, we want to manage you, and they might frame it like that. If they do sit him on the bench, we're just not going to create as much.
No, we're killing our own momentum.
Exactly.
Pogba must start. He has to, especially against a Brighton team that is going to be capable of defending really well and organised. So you're going to need to unlock them, and when we do spring and pounce on them in transition, that's what Pogba was doing. He was winning it back or getting it in good areas. The two wingers were going. Sancho was on his bike. And he was just finding him. He was just finding him quick. Left foot, right foot, didn't matter. You need that. He has to play. It's almost like Pogba's the shoe-in for this game. Has to play for me.
Which is interesting how quickly.
Probably on the bench.
I know.
Yeah, it is. It is interesting how quickly, because he's been out for so long. We were wondering, what sort of Pogba we can get back. But we always said, if we can get a Paul Pogba for 3 months, which that's the last couple of seasons, that's what he's been. Do you know what I mean? Like, large parts, not great, injured or playing shit. Then when he comes back, it's like, gives us that extra push. He did it last year with the Europa League push. After
came in left winger, Pogba,
started doing bits. The season before, I want to say the same kind of thing happened. I'm pretty sure.
It was because it was over with the break. I think he was was he one of the injured players? And then after the break, he was back fit and then played really well. Yeah, after Project Restart, didn't he? So
that's what Project Restart was balling out with Martial and the other one. You know what I mean? The Mason Greenwood. They were balling out at the time, and he was part of that trio. Yeah.
Back 4 then tomorrow, because obviously there's loads of discussion when it comes to the 2 centre backs. What 2 centre backs play tomorrow? Is that an easy answer?
Yeah, it is. It's the same 2, man. It's the same 2. It's bullshit, but it's the same 2. I mean,
it's going to be Maguire and Varane.
100%. I mean, they didn't even touch. I mean, we haven't seen the second part of the embargoed bit yet.
Yeah,
it could be, Harry's come under a lot of pressure. Have you considered, giving? I don't know why someone hasn't asked that one yet directly like that. I mean, I can't remember what the exact question was last presser, where he said that I'm sure he was his qualities next game and confirmed that he was starting. Was it along the lines of he's going through it and that?
Yeah, that was just, there's a lot of scrutiny on him. Do you back him to find his best form? Or
so they kind of have
that kind of stuff.
Fair. Yeah. But someone needs to ask him again. Ask him again.
Yeah, I was going to say some of the questions they've asked him today.
Keep asking him, bro. Keep asking him until he's like, I need to drop this guy. Yeah, it's the same. He goes with Varane and Maguire again, and Maguire just needs to not do anything stupid, man. You know what Mope's like. You know what Danny Welbeck's capable of. You know how they attack. You've got Cucurella coming down one side and coming in, and you've got Tariq Lamptey. God, he's going to be in front of me first half. He's going to be up and down. Jaden's got a big, talking about the game tactically and stuff. Sancho starting on that left, or if Rashford starts on the left and Jaden on the right, whoever's on that side with Lamptey, I'm telling you now, they have got a task on. Because
I worry about
it's unbelievable.
What's his name? Is it McAllister, the one who's like
McAllister
in the 10 from? Like he's, and my concern is that if he's between the lines as well and he's playing as like a 10 or whatever, my concern is that because Maguire, he's like a magnet. So if he sees the ball, he'll go towards it. And if he's pulled out of position, like you said, Mope's got the run on him, game over. It's gone. They'll be gone. 100%. He's not catching them or anything like that.
No.
So I think, like you're right, the 2 centre backs are going to be what they are. Dalot will play right back. The interesting one, I suppose, is left back, because Telles is back in the squad. He was on the bench against Southampton. And I don't know about you, Flex, but I've got the impression that Telles is the preferred option to Ranić. Even though it's closer, I think that Ranić tends to lean towards Telles. Do you think he'll start tomorrow?
50-50, man. Don't know about that one. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. He does like Telles. I think he does. He does prefer Telles and Dalot. I do think that, but no one's really pulled up trees. I mean, Luke Shaw in the first half against Burnley was very good. Very good. Gets an assist as well. Looks aggressive. You see in moments of him, doing what he wants to do early on. Early on against the last game, Southampton, he was good as well. But then it faded. It fades really quick with Shaw, and I don't get why. So he might want to freshen it up because it was a bit flat. So maybe I literally think that one is a 50-50.
And finally, we spoke about it a lot yesterday, and I know it's a divisive subject for people, the Cristiano Ronaldo stuff. I don't think there's any debate of whether he starts or not tomorrow because he's going to start. We don't have anyone else really to play up front, so he's going to start anyway. But do you back him to score tomorrow? Have you got confidence? I sent you a clip last night, and it's a clip that's been going around a lot on social media of him during the game against Southampton. Yeah. And it's really sad. It's really sad because there's a guy that, Ronaldo, when he gestures to referees or he gestures to people and he's flailing his arms and he's frustrated, all that kind of stuff, that's one thing. And you go, oh, look at him being frustrated. This clip was different in the sense of it was him really being frustrated with himself. You could see it on his face that he was just like, you got the impression that this is a guy that's trying and maybe he's just like, I just can't do it. And I don't really get it. And he looks confused or frustrated. Doesn't give a break. He's like he's bursting into tears during parts of it. And I mentioned it last night. There could be a situation where he scores 2 goals tomorrow and everyone's like, see, we all doubted him and he scores, but he scored. But I mean, that clip was just so sad, Flex.
It was. It looked like a guy who is saying that I don't know how to deal with this. I've never experienced this in my career.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what it looked like, because this is his longest, even when it was only 4 games without a goal, that was his longest ever spell without scoring. 4 games. 4. There's strikers who get 20 goals a season who still go through droughts of like 4 or 5 games, 6 games. Harry Kane used to never score in bloody August, was it? Yeah, do you know what I mean? Didn't even get a goal for the whole month. So it was sad in that game was particularly poor for him. And that's what I'm saying. When people were saying like, they don't want to criticize him or this, that, and the other, you look at that clip, it tells you how shit he was playing. Like even he's like, you can tell like, I don't know what to do. Like literally, I know I use this expression a lot with the Space Jam thing. I'll use it with Alexis Sanchez. It's almost like his powers have been zapped out, but it's literally like his powers got put in a football and taken away from him. He looks like he couldn't do it. He actually, because against Southampton, it was weird. He couldn't do anything. Like, no, he couldn't even receive the ball at feet and control it properly so that he could lay it off to someone else. He'd just fuck it up. Like the confidence just gone. And it's not something that he's used to going through. Then he thinks, I've definitely scored this. I can just see an open goal. Doesn't see that there's a defender there running back, so doesn't put enough on it. Doesn't score. Then you see in that thing, he doesn't even go mad. He's just like, he's shaking his head. Then when he gets that one over the top from Luke Shaw, I think it is, chests it down and takes the left-footed shot. Again, he just wants to score so bad. So it was sad to see that.
Even the touches off, isn't it? And that's the crazy thing. I mentioned it after the game. It's like
it's just everything's
I've never felt this with Cristiano Ronaldo, and you do feel it with some players. It's a bit like, and I'm not saying Ronaldo is like Fernando Torres by any stretch of the imagination, but you know what it was like with Torres when he was at, like, say, Chelsea, when he got the ball came to him, and you just went, he's not going to score.
He's not going to do anything. He's not going to score. He's going to give it away. Yeah,
exactly.
Ronaldo needs a quick.
Like that.
He needs a something quick to just happen. I mean, and of course it can happen, but I don't know, man. I fear exactly the same again. I do. Not just from him. Not just from him. I mean, Man United.
And then on the flip side, it's like, I mentioned this last night, but he is still our top goal scorer this season. And earlier on in the season, and this is why I guess it's so dramatic, because it does feel like there has been this sort of weird just sort of decline really quickly. Because when he came in at the start of the season, he was scoring 2 goals against Newcastle. He scored against West Ham. Like those first, 5 games, he scored in every single game.
Yeah.
whether it was against Newcastle, West Ham, Young Boys. He was scoring in every single
And
game.
he wasn't, and it was the same way. He wasn't actually massively involved. It was like in the moments,
he was
which is
scoring.
that's exactly what we expected. Yeah.
Exactly. He was scoring goals, coming up with late goals. And I think if you're scoring goals, people don't necessarily scrutinize the performance or the touch being off as much because they'll go, it's Cristiano Ronaldo coming up clutch. That's what he does.
And if you have any
goals
striker
try up, exactly.
play shit but score, you've had a great game. Might get man of the match if you scored 2.
Exactly. And then once the goals dry up, then you have to scrutinize the performance and go, actually, it's not there at the moment. And I still have somewhat faith that I do think, I said this to you last night, I said I still do think there is some magic in there. I just don't think there's a lot. Like I do think that there is, maybe a Champions League game, maybe against Atletico when he does score a couple of goals, but I don't think it's what's crazy to say about Ronaldo, but I don't think he's reliable enough now to be every single game he's going to be scoring goals or at least be contributing to goals as well. Maybe the days of being a striker that just either score goals or he doesn't really contribute, because he doesn't really contribute to goals that much.
No,
that's the problem, isn't it? Is that if he doesn't, I think nowadays as a striker, if you're not scoring goals, you still want to be involved in, okay, set up this or he set up these people, and he doesn't really do that. And then you are, I guess, a little bit hamstrung. Super chat from Monty says, I'm an Arsenal fan and went to the game to see CR7. Pogba impressed me the most. I couldn't believe United, De Gea passing, Maguire positioning, etc. Well, that's just every week.
Distribution was really poor. Yeah.
That's just really every single week.
It was bad.
I mean, me, Flex. I don't really do predictions, but to be honest, I can ask you how you're feeling about the game tomorrow. But I know exactly how you're feeling. Draw,
mate. Draw. I look at some people have said it in the comments today, and people were saying it after the game against Southampton. This is arguably a harder game. Southampton, Brighton are very, very well organized, very, very, very well drilled. They know what to do. In the fullback areas, if you've got a Cucurella bombing on, you've got a Lamptey bombing on, although Cucurella didn't actually play there the other day against Watford, but that's his main position. Problems. They can control games.
Yeah.
You might say, "Oh, what's this? Is Man United? We go and jam it on them. We do this, we do that." Well, that's not what we're doing right now. And you have to give Brighton respect. They went to Chelsea, nicked a draw, could have won. Everywhere they've gone, they've played really well. So when they've played against the bigger team, even when they played against Chelsea at their own place as well, they went 1-0 down to a stupid shot that should have been saved from the keeper, and they still managed to get back into the game. When I've watched them against Liverpool, when I've watched them against City, they've been good. They've been very, very, very good, and they are, and that's why they're having the season that they're having. So I can see more of the same, man. Honestly. I just can't predict any wins, bro. Honestly, I can't.
And also last season with Brighton, I think they were one of the teams that had like one of the highest XGs in the league, but they weren't scoring goals. And this season they've started to put it away a bit better. And we know that even, the argument can be made that United are defending somewhat better at the moment, which I kind of do and don't believe. At points we still concede chances. I think tomorrow is going to be one of the games that we've seen all season at United, whereby we've got to ride our luck. I think we're going to have to hope that David De Gea is in some decent form again, because they will have chances. Brighton, he'll have to make some saves. And we just have to hope that, I put it this way, I don't see us winning the game 1-0. If we win in the game, it would be because we scored more than one goal, I think. I don't think we can go through the game like we've been going through the last couple of games. If we score only one goal in that game,
won't keep a clean sheet.
For me, it's either a draw or a loss. We have to score more than one goal. And I've been saying this so many games, Flex, at the moment. I really want to see a performance. I want to see things come together, because you do see glimpses in some of these games where you think, I tell you what, maybe there's some feeling of like, if we can just put that a little bit longer. But I'm a bit like you. I just don't know. And maybe, again, we spoke about the fans and maybe the players being on somewhat the same page, like mentally at this point. Maybe the players know as well. We ain't keeping this up for 90 minutes.
No, and that's the thing. They've got to be at it. They definitely can't concede first. Or maybe that'll take a different pattern. Maybe we should concede first. And then see if
chasing the game.
But no, we just got to be clinical, man. If there is a period, I think, like I said, about more of the same, I think I'm not going to totally write us off, like, and not support us. Like, I think we'll have moments where we are on top and creating some chances and stuff and have them where we want them. But essentially, I don't think we'll get the rewards for that, which is what I mean by more of the same.
Do you think there's a possibility there that it can just all come together and we could like score 3 goals?
Always.
Chances.
listen, 100%. Because actually, on the basis of play of the last 3 games, that's what should have happened with the quality of chances that we had. We should have done that. So 100%. At any moment in any game, if we keep playing the way we're playing at the beginning of the games, we should be more than a goal to the good. Which, when that does finally happen, if we do win, I think we'll be saying something like that tomorrow. Like, that was the difference in that 20-minute spell in the first half when we were really good, or it was 0-0 at halftime, but that 25-minute spell in the second half when we scored 2 and that killed the game. And if we do win, I think it will be along those kind of lines.
Super chat from Lance says, if Maguire starts again, Ranić should be questioned, in my opinion. Well, he's going to start, mate, unfortunately.
Question him now.
He's going to start. Because he's going to start. So, we got full match day lineup coming tomorrow, as always. Flex is going to be back on the road with the road trip. We're going to have, obviously, the match view. I don't know who's doing it, actually, at this point. I'm assuming KG.
I think it'll be KG. Yeah, he hasn't said it.
It might be. So. Yeah, exactly. So it might be KG, or I hope it's not me, because my record's awful. Like, this is what I was saying. Going into that game, I was like, well, crap, because now we're gonna draw or lose.
We're not gonna win, yeah.
Oh my god, some of the games I've had this season have been shocking.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, KG's not brought much other luck as well. But you've had the worst ones. Yeah, you've had the worst ones.
Oh, it's been terrible. Yeah, so not great. But we'll obviously have the match for tomorrow and the match reaction, plus all of the views outside Old Trafford, as always. So be sure to subscribe, smash a like on the like button, and you can see, hopefully, fingers crossed, a victory for us tomorrow. Anyway, guys, we're out of here. Peace.